Exactly. All right, so do you want to run down what these guys are definitely running old route, I believe, right? Do you want to run down their PBs quickly before we start?
Yep. As far as I know, they will both be running old route. Kashmod has an old route PB of a 49.37, and Oh Dear has an old route PB of a 55.16. So both definitely some solid times from these runners. And it looks like we are off.
All right, as always, both runners navigating series perfectly fine in the beginning. It's always important to note that most of these runners are probably going to stay pretty close together in the early runs, in the early parts of this of these runs.
You know, I always found it interesting playing this game as a kid, and I don't know if you had the same thought, but why are we able to move through a dragon? Is he like non-corporeal, and then after we hang out for a minute, he becomes corporeal and flies off with the Metroid, or what?
I never had that thought as a kid, to be quite honest. And actually, to be quite honest, I don't have that thought now, so that's on you, man.
I think about a lot of strange things, but more importantly, both these runners are having a really good series escape here. A couple of steams here and there, but the RNG of the steam is just kind of something you learn to deal with running this game. Looks like they're both making it out here with some good time, though. We got a 45.01 from Kashmod, getting a little steam trolled, but a 41.66 from Oh Dear.
Yeah, I'd say at this point, anything really above 41, 42 is usually a solid series. You get below that, and it starts to pile on your early game just a little bit. Oh Dear, doing a little bit of trolling himself on there.
Well, you know what they say, when series trolls you, you gotta troll back.
I think Samus has the last laugh right there, right? Because series trolls you, but then series dies. So who's the real winner?
But can series really die? It is a space. And enough of that. We're getting philosophical here.
All right, so Kashmod going down. Both runners electing not to use Moonfall here. They're going the old-fashioned route. Moonfall would save a few seconds here, but you know, over the course of an any percent run, unless you are using it perfectly, shouldn't be that big of an issue here.
Yeah, I believe over the course of a run, all of the Moonfalls you can take that are decent time saves, Parlor Climb, and one of the final Escape Room, I believe they kind of add up to around 7 seconds. There are a couple more that you can do that are more like frame savers. That over the course of a run you can add it up to be more like 8 or 9 seconds, but for use at this level it's generally around 7 seconds over the course of a run.
Yeah, so anyone that's really, unless you're going for world record, those 7 seconds aren't the hugest deal. So if you're uncomfortable with using that Moonfall, because it does kind of change the way your movement is in certain boss fights and things like that. So if you're not used to it, it's really not worth trying to go with it. Kashmod on his way back up out. Oh dear, so still within 5 seconds of each other. It's going to be just a little bit to see what these guys do as they go over, and we're going to see their strategies on the climb.
Yeah, we might have our first variation coming up here pretty quick in the climb. There's 2 really different ways to do it, so it'd be interesting to see which ones these guys opt to do. It looks like Kashmod is doing the traditional wall jump climb up the right side. And it looks like Oh Dear is setting up to do the ledge grab climb, also known as the behemoth climb. I believe the world record for climb, if you will, is a few frames faster to do the wall jump climb, assuming everything is done optimally. I know a lot of runners tend to find the behemoth climb to be more consistent for them, so definitely not surprised to see either one. Practice can bring comfort to it, and for this early in the game to see a room that technical like climb is really kind of interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Kashmod going into bombs, getting a sub-5 bomb. That is certainly not a bad start at all. Oh dear, not that far behind, about 10 seconds at this point. Could make up some time here on Bomb Chorizo, depending on how they go about trying to take him out. Kashmod getting that great RNG on the drops there. And that's a great fight right there.
They actually both used different methods to stand the Bomb Chorizo up. Kashmod did the standing and walk forward position, and O'Deer does the morph ball method. Both are good methods. I don't know if one is in any way better than the other. It did look like O'Deer got a little trolled with the RNG. He took a hit from Bomb Chorizo there, so he didn't have full health and had to do another farm on the Bomb Chorizo there. So that cost a couple seconds, but nothing too major. This bird coming through O'Deer's stream is phenomenal.
It's just faint enough. He's got an oh dear. We've talked about this before in a few of the races, having a little trouble with Alcatraz, and it's a tricky strategy that one day you could inexplicably just forget how to do it, whether it's the pressures of the race or it's one of those things where you get it one day perfectly, and then the next day you swear that you're doing the right inputs and you can't do it. So spending some time there trying to get out, eventually does get it. Kashmod already on his way down to Brinstar.
I still can't get over this bird, man. Like, I see it in the background on some of the screens, and it's just like staring at me.
Well, it's perfect on door transitions. Like anything that right there, it's not a bad thing he's got going there.
I didn't quite catch the text. I'll have to check on the next door transition.
It says that's what you get when you don't practice, kids, or this is what happens, something like that. Which I guess, depending on some of the strategies that he's trying, it's a little more apt. Kashmod making his way through, great mock ball there, starting to pull away a little bit.
I think most of that's going to come from the issues that O'Deer had with Alcatraz, and getting a really nice mock ball from the decor room into Big Pink.
O'Deer getting the mock ball for the first sequence break as he goes to this.
Incredibly tight mock ball.
It is. It's something that I certainly can't do consistently.
And I know a lot of newer runners tend to shy away from that particular strat for a while because the waiver, the differently colored waivers, I don't even know if you can call them waivers at that point, they actually do a lot of damage without suits. And so if you mess that strat up and take a hit from them, you're going to go into Big Pink and potentially all the way up to Kraid with much lower energy than you're used to. And that can be very detrimental. So like O'Deer there didn't go for the mock ball. And that's generally, if you're not comfortable with it, to conserve health, it's a good idea to not go for it because of the amount of damage they do.
Yeah, it's one of those strats that gives you about maybe 2 seconds of time save, 3 at the most, but you know what? It adds 100% swag, and that's what this category is all about.
Speaking of new categories, when does swag percent come out?
I don't know. Do we have to talk? We gotta talk to some people here. Do we go straight to Deer Force?
You know, I don't know. Maybe we go to the tournament organizers. We can have a swag percent tournament to create the category.
There we go. We'll just talk to everyone. We'll make it a thing. O'Deer's trying to close the gap a little bit here. Kashmod making his way into Kraid's lair. Clean exit by O'Deer there. Great damage boost by Oh Dear. I think he's actually closing the gap here a little bit. If kashmod ends up missing this quick kill, I have a feeling that Oh Dear is right back in it. He's certainly not out of it by any means, but that would be a huge time jump for him.
Well, and I'm not sure what strategy kashmod is used to doing for the quick kill, but he accidentally kojacked a super on that Idor, so if he's
getting ready,
method, this could be pretty rough.
Oh. Missed it there. I have a feeling. I mean, he got the two missiles right away to start the quick kill, but I have a feeling he wasn't exactly confident in that strategy. But that's something we'll have to ask him later. Oh Dear making his way over. If he gets that quick kill, he's caught up a significant amount of time.
I think the issue with the kashmod's quick kill is he just didn't fire his last super. I don't know if he thought he hit shot and it just didn't go off or what, but he had one super at the end there while Kraid's mouth was still open, so I'm curious what happened. But here we go with the bird again. We can see it as Kraid's getting ready to come out of the ground.
So is the boss Kraid or the bird? I don't know. Is this a double boss? I'm kind of scared. Oh Dear, right back into it. Having that bird just kill Kraid for him. I don't know if that's against the rules, but we're gonna go with it.
Oh Dear utilizing the charge method, which locks Kraid's claw into place, and it makes the quick kill a little bit easier because you don't have to worry about his hand getting in the way. kashmod actually electing not to pick up the Kraid tank, which is pretty common safety picked up in a race setting for runners. Just to make Wreck Ship and Meridia easier.
Yeah, especially in that, like you said, in that race setting. Both of these runners, kashmod was what's his PB's just below 50. A lot of people around that time would elect, especially in that race setting, to pick up that safety. But we'll see if that actually goes against him at any point in this run as Oh Dear makes his way over. We'll see what he does as well. Looks like he's electing for that safety strat, picking up that extra energy tank. Oh, I don't know what he's doing here. He might... Oh, he was very close.
I believe he was trying to conserve ammo there. He realized he had no missiles and didn't want to leave Kraid with, or leave the warehouse with less than 5 supers. I love how Chad is currently trying to figure out how a swag % route would look.
See, we've got the community behind us. That's all we need. So we just need to start talking to people, and we'll make this happen. kashmod with some great movement there. Oh Dear about to get, which I believe is your favorite item in the game.
Yes, high jump boots are objectively the best item in the game. But space jump is objectively the worst item in the game.
I'm not a big fan of space jump, I'm not going to lie.
Some might argue that Spazer is the best item in the game. I would argue Spazer is the best beam in the game, but high jump is better than Spazer.
I think we have confirmation from Sephi that it is, right?
Yes, he has said multiple times that he loves Spazer beam, and it's the best beam.
Well, there you have it. That's all those community needs. All right, kashmod getting that speed booster. Oh Dear, still not that far behind. Made up a little time on that quick kill, but with the election to get that safety E-tank, he's probably back to where they were. I don't believe any runner has distanced themselves any further than they had after that Oh Dear's trouble with the Alcatraz escape. kashmod with some great farming there. I don't know if you needed that last one, but that can be a very trolly area for a farm if you're looking for some super specifically.
Oh Dear coming up on the first real boss of the game here. Nails it. It's worth noting, as to the speed farm, it's worth noting that technically speaking, as long as you don't plan on Dopplering Phantoon and you don't get a 0.06% chance big energy from a CAC attack and get all supers from CAC attacks, you only need 2 supers at Speed Farm to get all the way through Wreck Ship, assuming you kill every CAC on the way. If you're going to Doppler Phantoon, you need a 3rd.
So Kashmod's the second runner that we've seen that uses they don't try and go for that that long jump there. They sit in the middle to make sure that they don't get hit by those spikes. Something that not a lot of runners do, but it is kind of a safety strat because that jump can be a little tricky.
I can't say I've ever seen that Speed Farm strat. That was definitely different.
That Shine Spark?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not seen that either, to be quite honest. Kashmod is about to make his way out of Norfair as Odir still needs to go down to get Wave. I believe Kashmod's starting to pull ahead just a little bit more here, but it's still pretty tight. Phantoon can change everything.
Yeah, so Phantoon, since we've got a runner making their way up to Wreck Ship here, generally speaking, Phantoon has 3 patterns on each round. And if you get a 2 round, you can make a difference of up to 22 seconds depending on RNG. If you get a fast pattern, he moves for 1 second. If you get a mid pattern, it lasts for 6 seconds. And if you get a slow pattern, it lasts for 12 seconds before he opens his eye. So if one runner gets a fast, which is 2 seconds, and another runner gets a slow, which is 24 seconds, you can either make up or lose 22 seconds in no time at all, solely because Phantoon is the biggest jerk in this game.
You think he's a jerk because his parents were mean to him? Like, is that the reason? Like, what if we showed him love? Would he change his ways? Would he always give you fast?
I mean, he's a ghost at this point. I think it might be moot. Also, speaking from experience, having watched our current RBO world record holder, Shiny Zenny run, and try and sweet talk Phantoon all the time, it doesn't work.
All right, so Kashmod getting those power bombs going all the way up, making his way to the Wreck Ship. Odir finally getting out of Norfair here.
Kashmod electing to take a safety save before Phantoon because Phantoon is such a jerk.
And he does have that 1 less energy tank, so he may not be. I don't know if that's the decision that he made on the fly or that was part of it anyways, but not the worst thing to do there should something actually happen with Phantoon. Oh dear, almost getting that swag spark there, but just not getting that door open.
Yeah, the Alpha Spark is definitely a strategy that looks really cool, and it does save a little bit of time, generally speaking, but in order to do it safely, you have to pick up the 3rd E-Tank. I believe Kashmod did not go for it, simply because using the Alpha Spark is another bit of energy loss right before you go into the Wreck Ship.
So we can agree that that would be in swag percent.
I'd like to think so, but I'll leave that up to chat. They're doing a lot of theorizing about it. I've seen ideas of just 100% swag bingo, all kinds of fun stuff.
So like Moat CWJ would be there though, right?
I would think a double frame perfect trick would be there, yes.
Yeah. All right, oh dear, getting those power bombs, starting to make his way up. Kashmod almost at Phantoon here.
Right. I'm not sure which strategy these runners are going to use. Based on Kashmod not having power bomb selected, it looks like he's not going to go for. Oh well, made a liar out of me. The X Factor. He only has 1, so he'll probably go for the hybrid strategy here, which is to do an X Factor to open and then finish with a mini Doppler.
Gets the first one there. Now with a hybrid strategy, does he have to, if he gets the perfect doppel down, does he have to end with a super still?
Yeah, so the way it works is if you do a charge shot that does, I believe, 210 damage, question mark, or thereabouts, and that makes it so you don't have to fire 2 missiles.
Okay.
If you do a single shot X Factor, like you hit him once and then hit him with the X Factor, you have to do 6 missiles and a super to kill him. If you do a 2-shot in X Factor, you have to do 4 missiles and kill him. So with the hybrid strat, with a single shot there, you have to, you still have to doppel at the end. Whereas if you do a 2-shot setup, you can just hit your 2 and 2 to get him moving, and then hit him with the super without having to worry about messing up the Doppler itself.
Fair enough. So kashmod, they're basically high-fiving into Fantoon there. Oh dear going into kashmod going out. If oh dear gets a fast here and his strategies are on, he's right back in this. Again, he's certainly not out of it, but a lot of time save could come of it.
You started out with a slow here. Feels bad, man.
He didn't sweet talk him. He didn't even try. You gotta try.
How does one sweet talk a ghost, PGA? Please walk me through this process.
I just start playing Lionel Richie on a boombox and ask who hurt you.
Just barely missing a couple of the particle. I think it looked like 2 particles there. Yeah, I missed 2 of the particles on the X Factor. So
yeah.
This makes what's going on. You actually can't hit anything. You can't shoot your beam. You can't shoot missiles. You just kind of have to sit there and hope. And the way it times out is if you miss a particle, it will last through a mid pattern, and he got a mid there, which is what cost a couple seconds because he had to sit there and wait for his particle to hit one of the flames before he could do anything, and Fantoon had already disappeared at that point.
kashmod working his way into bowling as oh dear finally dispatches Fantoon. kashmod actually didn't have a lot of health and actually almost completely nailed an attic spark as he also sparks across bowling alley, which is, I believe, well, it uses the energy. I don't know what the energy is. It's slightly faster, right? Is it almost even on the energy?
It's almost even depending on how many hits you take. So I believe last time this came up, Chad had said that it was around 100 energy. And so if you get hit 3 times, it's slightly more than that because each hit is 30 damage. So you take 90 from doing the spikes. But flying all the way across that room saves you some time. So if you have the energy to spare, then it's definitely a strategy worth considering.
All right, so kashmod, not a lot of health, but I believe he should be okay here, barring any unforeseen circumstances. Oh dear, making his way into the attic. We'll see how he chooses to dispatch the enemies up here. Is it faster? Because I've seen top runners not do it the attic spark way. Which way is faster? Assuming that everything is done optimally.
So I'm actually not 100% certain on this, and if somebody else is in chat would like to confirm or deny this, I believe a left side attic with a speed keep is the most optimal strat. 1 for health conservation, and 2 for speed. And that's where you go up the left side, hit a power bomb, shoot a couple missiles, do a short charge to kill the key hunter and the atomic on the right side, and then run across, super the first atomic on the left side, and then jump through and get a speed keep as you land on the ground, and then just jump up to kill the last atomic and key hunter.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think attic spark it's one of the, if you can time it right, I feel like it's one of the easier ways to dispatch that room, but I don't think it's the fastest way. Certainly the optimal way is not really the that room can be a little tricky.
Yeah, the getting the speed keep. The speed keep is what I would consider an advanced tech. So a left side attic really is a more complicated strategy to get, where a right side attic is pretty straightforward. You drop a power bomb, you shoot a wave shot up at the atomic, and then you just do a normal short charge to take out the rest.
All right, so Odir getting that gravity as Kashmod makes his way up to Batwoon. Kashmod actually also elected to, right before Red Tower, sat there for about 5-10 seconds farming to make sure he had what he had, but he had that, he had the comfort of that safety time there. So still a sizable lead, but Odir making his way over, depending on how he does with Batwoon. Batwoon controlling him a little bit if he's trying to go for that X Factor. But we'll see. Still certainly the race is not over by any means.
Interesting choice by Kashmod to actually try and farm to full power bombs there. Once you get to that room right before Aqueduct, you actually only need 3 power bombs to get through the rest of Meridia. You need 1 to get into the Aqueduct area itself once you go through the door, 1 for the Batwoon X Factor, and 1 for Dragon if you elect to do an X Factor there. Kashmod getting a really trolly pattern.
Oh, he needs to not get hit. Should be okay here, but oh dear, making his way down Red Tower. Kashmod electing to save his missiles there. He should have enough supers to get to Dragon, correct?
Yes, so getting to Dragon, you want to have 2 supers, 1 for the green door at the right side of Coliseum and 1 for the I door. You technically only need 1 because you can use 3 missiles on the I door, but it's significantly slower. I'm more worried about the missile count for breaking apart the turrets in Dragon's room, but having that extra super will make that a little less tight. And nailing the halfie there from Kashmod.
Very nice.
I still can't get over this bird, man. Like, it's great.
I think chat kind of agrees. Well, most people. I think some people find it creepy, but I don't know if that's a good luck charm for him. I don't know if that's helping or hurting him, but you know what? It is what it is. It's there. We have to deal with it.
I like it personally. I will say, I think the most disappointing thing about this run is that neither racer is using Blat Timer. I've seen kind of a decline in the popularity of Blat Timer. We've only had 2 racers use it so far in the entire tournament, I believe. It's undefeated.
Some would argue that's not worth it, though.
Kashmod unfortunately missing the spark with the X Factor right at the beginning. Cost a little bit of health from just getting bonked by Dragon here, but should still be in a pretty good position to take her out. Health is a little bit lower than I imagine he'd like right now. And so it'd be interesting to see if he plays it safe or what he plans on doing here to kill Dragon.
That's what it looks like. He's trying to conserve that energy right now.
Oh dear, dispatching with Batwoon, getting some really good drops from him.
So in this Dragon fight, we've talked about the Shine Sparking in general. We talked about the X Factor in the beginning. We talked about Blue Suit. What we haven't talked about is chain damage. At what point does someone need to be worried about chain damage with one final Shine Spark?
That is a difficult question to answer because chain damage can be a little random. I mean, there is a method to the madness, But the way chain damage works is when you kill Dragon with the Shine Spark and you have speed echoes, you get the blue suit glitch, which kashmod just got there.
Yeah.
And if you get the blue suit, Dragon, depending on what direction she moves after she's technically died, can move in a way that you keep getting hit by Dragon. And when you have the blue suit, your invulnerability frames reset every frame. So you can just get damage, reset, damage, reset, damage, reset over and over. And each hit does 40 damage to you. Depending on her position in the room, what pattern she was in, where you are in her body with the Shine Spark. I mean, there's a lot of different factors that go into it. You can take chain damage. And since each hit does 40 damage, I can tell you from experience, I got my first time dying to chain damage, I took 240 chain damage and died instantly. So it's one of those things where it's always a risk, but because it is so much faster, it's really difficult to find somebody who's not going to go for it.
So kashmod, obviously, he's making his way over to Plasma. Oh dear is having a pretty good. He gets blue suit as well. That was a pretty fast Dragon fight for him, if I'm not mistaken. That was probably slightly faster than kashmod, so he is making up some time here.
Yeah, the Dragon fight was definitely a little bit better. Most of that coming from having the extra safety of the 4th E-Tank and not having to worry as much about health. So that definitely made that time up right there, and definitely trying to stay in this race here. Really anything can happen with the remainder of this run, so it's still anybody's game, especially with Lower Norfair. And a beautiful reverse halfie there.
All right, so kashmod exiting Plasma Spark there, making his way over to Norfair. Oh dear, not that far behind him, to be quite honest.
Yeah, like I said, that made a lot of time back up with that Dragon fight. You know, I didn't actually think about this, but I wonder how the owl's going to come through when they're going through the pipe. Are we going to see like an eye on either side of the pipe leaving Plasma?
Oh dear, could be trolling us. He might have put so much thought into this and we don't even know. Could also be a spirit animal, so. But you'd think it'd be a deer, but again, trolling us all. kashmod making his way down into Norfair. It'll be interesting to see once he gets ice if he stays on northern or lower southern side there. We talked about it, I think, last race. Is there one of them slightly faster?
Which for what? I'm sorry. Which is what slightly faster?
Going to Lower Norfair on the northern or southern side.
Oh yeah. So the northern route, if done optimally, is 2 seconds slower than the southern route if done optimally. If kashmod decides to use the power bomb in ice instead of trying to mock ball through on his way back through, then that, if he is able to land all the strats on the way down, that is about 2 seconds faster than if he were to go through the Frog Speedway and take what's known as the north route.
So it looks like he is through. Going for another save here. Now, if he was going to do that for safety reasons, wouldn't he have been better off doing the one right before the Lower Norfair elevator?
In this particular category, I'm not sure if either is any faster or any safer. Usually with this much health, with He's got all the supers he's going to need. He's got near full missiles. He's got full power bombs. Unless something, knock on wood, no commentator curse, catastrophic is going to happen in worst room in the game or amphitheater. I'm not sure how much safety that particular save gives.
Like if he was that worried about it, he could have gone to the Ridley save, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's
I'd be very
a place worth considering because Ridley can give you some pretty trilly patterns as well.
right. And again, kashmod does have that one less E tank as well. So if he was that concerned, I'm just curious to see why he would have done it way back there. Because if something were to happen, that's quite a bit of backtracking.
Well, and I guess the only real advantage to that door is you don't have to take 2 extra door transitions to get it. So it is a 5-second faster save. But if you have to use the save, it's significantly slower because you have to redo more of the game.
Right. So both runners actually opting to use the northern route here.
kashmod electing to use the powerbomb strategy in the pillar room there. Having a very clean worst room in the game strat there.
Well, he definitely was going for spark there, but missed it. Unfortunately, that's a pretty tricky strat to be able to land there. All right, so Oh Dear making his way into the lower north air elevator. Still kind of close. I mean, depending on what happens with Ridley here, it could be anyone's game. So again, still a very close race between these two, which is actually pretty impressive, seeing as how their PBs are kind of. I mean, we're talking about 5-6 minutes. I mean, at this point in a run, for it to be that close, it's pretty impressive. Oh dear,
getting fast pillars.
Yeah.
So pillar room, there's really 3 basic strategies. You've got the stutter fast pillar setup that Oh Dear did, which is the fastest. kashmod ended up doing the power bomb strat, which is the exact same speed as if you were to go to the ripper room to the left and do a 2-tap from the green gate. So Oh Dear's having a little bit faster pillar setup room and pillar room than kashmod did.
I gotta say, Oh Dear's movement throughout all of lower Norfair so far has been pretty tight. He's certainly not losing any ground here. kashmod now entering Ridley's. Oh Dear electing to go for that save that we were talking about here, so let's hope kashmod doesn't need to use his save because that is much further back. Luckily, Ridley isn't trolling kashmod that much. His movement's able to kind of lead Ridley's movement here, and it's been working pretty well so far.
And that was a very clean fight from kashmod there.
All right, so kashmod electing to get that E-tank. I was wondering if he would skip that or not, but looks like he's electing to take that. Not taking that and going through the rest of the game would be obviously faster, but it's a pretty risky thing to do, to try and make it all the way to Mother Bane and fight that Mother Brain 1 without anything.
Always like the bird is going to be fighting Ridley.
This is just straight bird-on-bird violence.
It's definitely interesting that kashmod elected to pick up the Ridley E-Tank instead of the Crane E-Tank. It is, I believe, slightly faster to pick up the Ridley E-Tank than the Crane E-Tank, but you don't have it for the portions of the game that are really the scariest, which are Fantoon and Dragon. So it's an interesting decision to pick up the safety there, but not on his way out of the warehouse.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know if he's watching how close O'Deer is, or he just had a change in strategy, but I agree. I didn't think that him skipping that Crate E-Tank, he would go for that, but it does buy him that extra, while it wasted a little bit of time, it does buy him that extra security on his way to Turian. Great movement there by kashmod. O'Deer also electing to get that Ridley E-Tank.
It was actually also a very clean fight from O'Deer against Ridley as well. So a couple of good Ridley fights, and we're on our last leg of the game here on our way escaping Lower Norfair to go to Turian.
kashmod with some amazing dodging there from the Key Hunters. That was fantastic.
Got to get my my Piccolo voice on so I can start yelling, "Dodge!"
All right, so O'Deer wasting some time here. I mean, he's got the extra E-Tank. I think he would have been better off just trying to take one hit and going through there as opposed to trying to kill everyone. I don't know if he was trying to farm there for some reason, but wasted a little
like he was
low
trying
time
to clear the path so he could set up for the speedball through those 2 blocks. But ended up not getting it and still had power bombs selected from when he was clearing the statue on the other side of the wasteland there. So used up a power bomb. Fortunately, there's a couple seahorses coming up where he can farm those without too much issue. This background with that bird is kind of eerie.
Yeah, so now confirmed owls are stronger than Ridley. If that is an owl. I'm assuming that's an owl. I don't know what else that would be. That looks like
a meme owl. Yeah, it's a meme owl.
O'Deer right there going with a safety strat of staying in the acid a little longer than he needed to.
One of the perks of picking up that 50 tank is you have the energy to do things like that.
kashmod about to make his way all the way up through Criteria to the ship. He should be in G4 relatively soon. O'Deer still not that far behind.
Yeah, fortunately, O'Deer realized he used his last power bomb there. The last power bomb you technically need for the game, as far as optimal strats goes, is killing or breaking those 2 blocks right there. If he hadn't stopped to farm that seahorse, then would have had to go the way around that he went after he picked up speed and wave, which is a bit slower.
They're like an endangered species too. He didn't need to do that. He just should have been smarter. kashmod going with the safety of the save and the complete recharge here. He's got to know that he's ahead at this point.
Well, and even if not, some of these race safeties definitely make sense from a pragmatic perspective. If you're a little bit more uncomfortable with certain areas of the game and you come into a race setting, then saving beforehand is not a terrible idea. It does take some time, yes, but if something does go wrong, you don't have to backtrack as far.
Yeah, especially in this format. I mean, it makes sense to do that rather than forfeit, because the times of your runs do matter depending on what is going on in your group. So if you forfeit, you get, I believe, what is a 3 hour time for your run, whereas if you die but you stick it out and you get something that's, you know, maybe 5 or 10 minutes more than your PB, you could be much better off.
Correct. And, you know, the way the tournament is structured is I believe it's worth noting that this is not the end for either of these two runners. Every runner is guaranteed at least 4 races in this tournament because we're starting off with a round robin, and these two are in the same group. The top 2 from each group will move on to a single elimination bracket, and your times actually matter for your seeding once we get to the single elimination phase. They'll they'll throw out your top and bottom times and keep your second and third and average those 2 out. And that will, whatever your median is compared to everybody else's, will determine what seed you're in. So if you have a 3-hour time because of a forfeit, then and say you have 2 of those for some reason, then you're going to have a 3-hour time playing into your median.
All right, so kashmod electing to group the Metroids here. Some good RNG there on the drops. Oh dear, almost to the golden 4. Again, still for how far apart their PBs were, they are very tight. Oh dear is staying in there, and this race is again still not over. kashmod with a very clean 3rd Metroid run. So another one of the big potential time saves here could be baby skip. If kashmod again misses this and oh dear has it in his back pocket, I mean that's 25 seconds, something like that, 25 seconds that he could save right there, assuming everything else goes according to plan. So again, still very close.
Just watching that statue fall and the owl appear behind it, it's perfect.
It's really the golden 1. There can only be 1, and it's the owl. kashmod trying to make sure. Yep, making sure that he gets it, and he does. A couple extra jumps there, but it seems to be worth it. Still faster than if he got caught there. Oh dear, looks like he wasn't trying to group these guys, but now he is.
You get a baby skip there, saving about 15 to 20 seconds based on the number of jumps.
Coming up to the Zepatite glitch. kashmod having a little trouble with it. There we go. So what's the we haven't talked about this part. These what are these Cheerios called?
Cheerios. Cheerios are called Ringos.
There we go. So when you get to when you get to Mother Brain, you can freeze them all, right? But is there a certain spot that you can stand on that little platform to make sure that they don't actually respawn again? Because I see a lot of people doing that.
So when you freeze and kill a Rinka, I believe its respawn time is slower.
Okay. So if you're just fast enough, oh dear.
Yeah, I could be wrong on that. I'm not sure, but
I didn't have a follow-up for that. Nobody knows if I was saying oh dear, if I was commenting on our runner oh dear, but oh dear definitely missing a baby skip here if that was an attempt. Just accepting the impending doom and jumping straight into it, being, hey, give me your hug, here's my energy. I think in Oh Dear's run, instead of the baby Metroid coming back, I think the owl's actually going to swoop in and give him his energy back. I think that's what's going to happen.
Looks like kashmod is through Mother Brain 2. I think it's fair to say the remainder of the game, there's very little chance of death, so kashmod will most likely be completing this run.
Yes.
There are some places that he can lose time still, but the risk of death is pretty minimal unless you are Sirium.
Oh dear. Going to reset the room for that Zebetite glitch. Not too confident in trying to reset it otherwise. As we said, kashmod pretty much finishing up this run here. The race should be his. It's very hard to try and mess up the remainder of this. There's definitely plenty of spaces that you could waste time, but it's extremely difficult. You literally have to try to not complete this run from this point pretty much.
Unless you're Sirium. Sirium, I remember watching him die live to Mother Brain 3. Pretty talented.
It'll be interesting to see if kashmod goes for the safety strat here, the glitch beams, or if he tries to make sure he gets the fastest time possible. Oh dear, going into Mother Brain 2 here. He does have the safety of that extra energy tank, so hopefully he as well can finish this run. Not out of the woods yet, and gotta watch out for some catch-up, but... And he does.
Well, unfortunately, picking up the 5th energy tank makes it so that you have the ability to survive a double hit from catch-up. So even if Oh dear were to take a single hit, then would have been okay.
Yeah. And
maybe 2 hits if you don't get double hit by either, but beyond that, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, oh dear, making the conscious effort to waste some spare energy there to try and speed this along. kashmod making his way through the escape here. Do you remember, I don't know if you still have it up, what was Oh dear's PB? Is he on PB pace right now?
I believe it's a possible PB pace. So Oh dear's PB is a 55-16.
So there's a slight possibility he could actually PB in this, right?
Yeah, so long as you have some decent movement here in the end game and make the objectively correct decision to let the animals burn, you can get a PB right here in the race.
So this is why you wanted him to kill the seahorse. This all makes sense. kashmod making his way out through the parlor as Oh dear gets his owl spirit back.
You know, sometimes in my head, all I can picture is this owl saying "Oh dear" the way George Takei says "Oh my."
Oh dear. All right, kashmod finishing up his run. It looks like he's got an official time of 52:11.
GG kashmod, congrats on your victory there.
Yes.
And right, Oh dear, moving into Mother Brain 3.
Trying to set himself up here. There he goes.
Yeah,
it can be tricky if you lose your pillar. If you lose your footing there, it's kind of easy to just get misplaced there by Mother Brain. But looks like he's got an okay spot here now. 52:48. So he's going for glory right now. This could be regardless. In my opinion, any run that's finished is always a good run. But if he PBs here in this kind of race setting, it could be that's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, we're definitely on a PB pace here. Like I said, there's places you can lose time, but there's no way a run will be lost here. Based on the time, I think we're looking at a mid 54, which would be PB by about 45 seconds, give or take. And PB in a race setting is always impressive. So despite what Mr. Owl says about not having practiced, and this is what happens when you don't practice, kids, still a really good pace for Oh dear here.
Keeping calm under pressure. Finishing off this race, let's see. At this point, I'd like to think we're thinking of how much he can PB by.
Okay, so it'll be somewhere around the 45-second mark. Because this pace looks like it's going to be, as long as they land a spark here, it's going to be about a 54:30.
Having to not try and do that behemoth spark up there. Making his way through the parlor. Oh, he's got it. That is
Oh dear,
fantastic.
finishing with an official SRL time of 54:27. By SRL time, that is a PB by, I want to say, 49 seconds.
Huge. 49 seconds, almost a minute PB in a race setting. Amazing.
If you go by his timer, it was 51 seconds. So either way, that was definitely a fantastic performance. Congrats on the PB, oh dear. And a great run from both of our runners. That was pretty close the whole way through.
Yeah, like we had talked about in the beginning. I mean, about 6 minutes of a PB gap there, and that was kept extremely close the entire time. Oh dear, certainly not giving up on anything. You know, from the beginning, having a little trouble, but never quitting and never really messing up anything huge. That was huge, and that just goes to show he ended up PBing. So I think his spear animal here is going to have to be a mainstay now. I think that's his good luck charm.
Absolutely, we need more. Owl. Oh, bird. I wonder if the bird has a nickname. All I know for certain is that the bird is the word.
This is true. It is confirmed. I think the bird is equal to or greater than the word, right?
Something like that. And with that, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that's going to be it for us. I know there's going to be another, actually, I want to say 3 tournament races in a row. We have a break for about an hour, and then here at 7 Eastern, we're going to have 3 races back to back. So if you guys want some more Super Metroid action, they will all be here right on this channel on Speed Gaming 2 for just 3 hours of pure Metroid time.
Quality, crisp runs coming at you with the hottest category in Super Metroid, any percent. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I hope you were entertained, because quite honestly, that was a fantastic race, and a PB by Oh Dear and his owl friend Oh Owl. Just amazing. So hopefully you are ready for some more entertainment, because it is coming at you. And we started off again in less than an hour, so make sure you've got those notifications on if you're leaving. Otherwise, stay tuned on this channel, and hopefully you guys are here for the rest of the action, because it is going to be amazing.
With that, we're going to be signing off. Thank you guys very much. Stay tuned and stay dank.